In addition to that, I'm also quoting information from the Vitakka Sutra, Vitakka Santana Sutra, Ratana Sutra, and the Chutta Sutra. All these sutras I have taken from the oldest Tripitaka in the world, which is now kept at the British Library in London, which happens to be less than 20 miles from our vihara. How this Tripitaka came to London is an interesting story because it was written down 456 years after Lord Buddha passed away. So it makes it over 2,100 years old now. And it was written down at Alulena Rajamaha Vihara in Kegal district in Sri Lanka. So the information that I'll be quoting from that Tripitaka sometimes might differ from what you have learned already. And if that is the case, please don't develop anger, resentment, or arguments against it. Just practice the principle that Lord Buddha explained in Kalama Sutra. In Kalama Sutra, Lord Buddha said, don't either believe or disbelieve what I say. Just take this information home, go through it several times, analyze it using your intelligence and wisdom. At the end of the day, if you find it's correct, if you think it's correct, you can take it, make use of it, and you will get results very quickly. At the same time, if you think it's wrong, just leave it out and carry on with whatever you are doing, but don't develop anger, resentment, or arguments against it. So I make the same kind of request from all of you. Now, as we always do, we will start with observing Panchasila. Then we will meditate for a few minutes. Then I will deliver the sermon for about 50 minutes. And then I'll give you 1 hour to ask any questions. Okay, let's start with observing Panchasila. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kame sumichachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya majjapama dattana veramani Sikkapadang samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Next, we are going to meditate for a few minutes. Can you all please sit comfortably, either on a chair, or on a cushion, or on the floor. If you like to lean against the wall or against the chair, that's okay, but keep your back straight. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath and let it out very slowly. Please repeat that 3 times. While staying in the same position and still keeping your eyes closed, please repeat this Karmasthana meditation sentences after me. May all living beings and myself be healthy. May all living beings and myself be happy. May all living beings and myself be free from worries. May all living beings and myself be free from suffering. May all living beings and myself comprehend the 4 noble truths. May all living beings and myself finally attain permanent happiness in Nibbana. Let's repeat once more. May all living beings and myself be healthy. May all living beings and myself be happy. May all living beings and myself be free from worries. May all living beings and myself be free from suffering. May all living beings and myself comprehend the 4 noble truths. May all living beings and myself finally attain permanent happiness in Nibbana. While staying in the same position and still keeping your eyes closed, can you all please repeat those karmasthana meditation sentences in your mind for 3 minutes, please? While staying in the same position and still keeping your eyes closed, please take a deep breath and let it out very slowly. Please repeat that 3 times. Now you can slowly open your eyes, sit comfortably, and get ready for the Dhamma discussion. As I mentioned at the beginning, in this series of Dhamma discussions, we are discussing the path to Sothapanna, the first level of enlightenment, as per Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra and the Sothapanna Sutra. Now, in the first session, I explained the importance of becoming Sothapanna. Lord Buddha explained in the Chutta Sutra why it is absolutely necessary for us to become Sothapanna in this life. And he explained in detail, if we don't become Sothapanna, by the time we die, there's 99.999% probability that we will end up in one of the four hells. I'm not going to go into those details today. If anyone wants to know the details again, please ask me during question time. Then I started with Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra. Firstly, I explained the summary, and then I explained in some detail of the first noble truth. But let me go through the summary very quickly and then carry on from where I stopped last time, because it's very important to remember the summary. Now, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra, Lord Buddha says, Pubbe ananusutesu dhammesu. I am explaining your Dhamma I haven't heard before. Then he says, Chakkung uddapadi, Jnanang uddapadi, Panya uddapadi, Vijja uddapadi, Aloko uddapadi. Once I comprehended this Dhamma, I got Chakkung uddapadi, vision of Dhamma, Jnanang uddapadi, knowledge of Dhamma, Panya uddapadi, wisdom of Dhamma, Vijja uddapadi, science of Dhamma, and Aloko uddapadi, I saw the light. I became Loka, Aloka from Loka. By Loka, he meant the darkness. Aloka or Aloka means the light, the Nibbana. Then he says, in order to understand this Dhamma, you have to come out of Atta Kilamatana Yoga. You have to come out of Kamasukallikana Yoga. You have to come out of Atta Kilamatana Yoga, and you have to come to Majjhima Patipada. Kamasukallikana Yoga is living a life of luxury. Atta Kilamatana Yoga is the other extreme, giving unnecessary suffering to the body, thinking that that will help a person to maximize his wisdom to the highest level and comprehend Dhamma. Majjhima Patipada is the path or the way that helps a person to eradicate Raga, Dvesha, Moha completely. Then Lord Buddha says, Majjhima Patipada is Samma, the Noble Eightfold Path. Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa, Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi. Then he said, in order to come to Sammaditi, first one has to understand the Four Noble Truths. Four Noble Truths are Noble Truth of Suffering, Noble Truth of the Cause of Suffering, Noble Truth of Out of Suffering, and the Noble Truth of the Way Out of Suffering. Then in the first Noble, then he says, in order to comprehend the Four Noble Truths, there are four things one has to do. Those four things are, first one is Kalyana Mitra Sevana, associating a person who is capable of explaining correct Dhamma to you, which will help you to eradicate Raga, Desha, Moha. Then Sirisat Dharma Stravana, listening to Dhamma explained by that person. The third one is Yoniso Manasikara, Once you have learned Dhamma by listening to them, then you go through it over and over again, analyze it using your intelligence and wisdom, and comprehend Dhamma, get a vision of Dhamma. Then Dhammanu Dhamma Patipada. Dhammanu Dhamma Patipada means Sabbapapassakarana. Eradicate all unwholesome thoughts, unwholesome action, unwholesome deeds. Kusalassa Upasampada. Develop, cultivate, and accumulate wholesome thoughts, wholesome deeds, and wholesome qualities. Sachitta Pariyodapana. Through the above process, purify your mind and maximize your wisdom to the highest level. You will comprehend Dhamma. And Etang Buddha Anusasana. This is the advice given by every Samma Sambuddha. So this is the summary of the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra. Then I started explaining the first noble truth. We went through in some detail. I explained Jatipi dukkha, Jarapi dukkha, Vyadipi dukkha, Maranampi dukkha, Soka parideva dukkha dobunassa, Upayasapi dukkha, Piyehi vipayogo dukkha, Appiyehi sampayogo dukkha. 11 types of suffering that Lord Buddha explained that people undergo, but people didn't know the reason for that. Then the reason Lord Buddha said, Yampi ichang nalabati tampi dukkha. If we have an attachment to something, and if we can't get it, or if we don't get it, we get the opposite of it. And that is the reason why we suffer. So attachment, the second noble truth Lord Buddha said, attachment is the reason for suffering, the cause of suffering. Attachments, he said, there are 3 types of attachments: Kama Tanha, Bhava Tanha, Vibhava Tanha. We will come to that. Then Lord Buddha said, Sankittena Pancha Upadanaskandha Dukkha. Now, this is the most important part of Buddha Dhamma. Here, Lord Buddha explained through the Panchaskandha and the Pancha Upadanaskandha how Raga, Dvesha, Moha originates in our mind, why we create them, or why we allow them to be originated, and how to eradicate them, and what is the downfall if we don't eradicate, and how to eradicate them. So that's what we are going to discuss in some detail today. Now, Panchaskandha, in English books, they say 5 aggregates, but I don't like to use those English words because they are misleading. Let's stick to the Margadi words and try and remember the meaning. 5 aggregates. 5 aggregates are, Lord Buddha called them Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana. So these are the 5 steps that takes to construct a thought in our mind. So that's the Panchaskandha, the 5 steps that takes to construct a thought in our mind. So Rupa means anything that our eyes can see. Lord Buddha called it Rupa Rupa. Anything our ears can hear, any sound, Lord Buddha called them Shabda Rupa. Then any smell that our nose can feel, Lord Buddha called them Gandha Rupa. And then any taste that our tongue can feel, Lord Buddha called them Rasa Rupa. Then any feeling that our body can feel, Lord Buddha called them Pottabha Rupa. Then any feelings that our mind gets from the past memories, any information, anything that comes to our mind from our past memories, Lord Buddha called them Mano Rupa. So those are the 5 types of Rupa. So the first stage is Rupa. one of these six senses will see a rupa. Let's take the eye. The eye sees something. Let's say if I am standing in front of a vihara and I see a car. I see many things, but whatever I see, I will send it to my mind. My eye will send it to my mind. Then when a rupa comes to the mind is like a central processing unit in a computer. In fact, the central processing unit in a computer has been manufactured on the basis of how our mind works. So the entry points, data entry points, are the six entry points: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and the mind. So we are talking of the eye now. My eye saw a car, it sent it to my mind. That's what the job of the eye is. Eyes, ears, nose, body, tongue, and the mind. Whatever the information they get, they send it to the mind. That's all they do. They cannot identify them. They cannot taste them. Then what happens is the mind gets a feeling that is called Vedana. Mind feels that something, some data came in. So that is called Vedana, second stage, Rupa Vedana. Third one is Sanya. Sanya means the mind will identify what came in, whether it's a living being or a natural object. If it is a living being, is it a human being or an animal? Or if it is a human being, whether it's my mother, father, brother, sister, relation, friend, colleague, enemy, whoever. Then after identifying, if the mind is attached to it with raga, dvesha, moha, mind will take that data in and start processing it. So Rupa Vedana, the third stage. Now, mind has two programs to process it. First program is Vijnana program, which is full of raga, dvesha, moha. If we use the Vijnana program to process something, then the information that comes out will be raga, dvesha, moha as well. Then the other program, opposite to Vijnana, is Prajna program. Prajna program is full of Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekka. So if we process anything, any data that comes into our mind with the Prajna program, because it is full of Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekka, the information that it produces will be Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekka. So let's look at the first situation. The data that came in, the mind will process with the Vijnana program. Now, the Prutagjana person who does not know Dhamma, he is processing this data with the Vijnana program almost 100% of the time. So in a day, within 24 hours, Lord Buddha said that there are more than 30,000 pieces of data that comes into our mind and processed by one of these programs. So the person who is processing this data with Vijnana program and is producing information 30,000 times, information made up of raga, dvesha, moha. So what happens is when he does that, several things happen. Firstly, he will release a negative energy into the environment. And that negative energy in return pollutes the environment. And in return, that pollution will have a negative effect on every living being, every plant, every tree living on this planet. And that is a huge sin, Lord Buddha said, because that has a negative effect on everyone. So without knowing Dhamma, this is the moha. Not knowing Dhamma, ignorance of Dhamma, Lord Buddha called it moha. So the Pruthakjana person, Lord Buddha called Pruthakjana person, a person who has not comprehended Dhamma and becomes Sothapanna. So that person, he hasn't even come to Sothapanna path, he doesn't know Dhamma. So all day, this 30,000 or more pieces of data that comes into his mind, the central processing unit, is processing with the Vijnana program, negative program, and he keeps producing negative results. The first negative results is polluting the environment and earning sins. The second one is strengthening the negative qualities, raga, dvesha, moha qualities that he has stored within himself in his chitta santana. I will explain to you what chitta santana is. So once that happens, that negative energy is the one that gives power or the energy to the vijnana. And that keeps producing more and more vijnana. Vijnana power will get stronger. So if negative energy gets stronger, if raga, dvesha, moha qualities get stronger, that will produce stronger vijnana. And stronger vijnana means it will be processing more and more data with more and more raga, dvesha, moha. So that vicious cycle will continue. So what happens is every time when the Pruthakjana person thinks about something with the Vijnana program, his thoughts are with raga, dvesha, moha. The moment he uses the Vijnana program, is constructing the thought with raga, dvesha, moha, and that is called sankhara. Sang means raga, dvesha, moha, anything to do with raga, dvesha, moha, constructing thought with raga, dvesha, moha. And kara means action. Action could be mentally, physically, or verbally, or all three. So he is doing a sankhara. So rupa, vedana, sanya, everyone does that. And the Pruthakjana person does a sankhara. Sankhara means he processes the information with raga, dvesha, moha, which is the Vijnana program. And then what happens is he produces, he pollutes the environment and earns sins from one side. On the other side, he keeps strengthening his negative qualities, raga, dvesha, moha qualities in his chitta santana. I will explain to you where these negative qualities are stored on and how they get more and more stronger as the person keeps thinking with raga, dvesha, moha. So when the raga, dvesha, moha qualities get stronger, that works like a battery that powers the vijnana. So vijnana will get stronger and the vicious cycle will continue. On the other hand, the arahat person, every time when rupa, vedana, sanya comes to his mind, he uses the prajna program. He processes that data with maitri, karuna, mudita, upekka. So the results that he produces, the action, whether it's mentally, verbally, or physically, or all three, will be with maitri, karuna, mudita, upekka, positive. So the first thing he does is, the moment he thinks or construct a thought with maitri, karuna, mudita, upekka, he's releasing a positive energy into the environment, which in turn cleans the environment, which has a benefit on every living being, every plant and every tree living on this planet. And that is a great meritorious deed. So that person will earn merits. So that's why Lord Buddha said, practicing loving kindness meditation releases positive energy into the environment, and that is the greatest merit one can commit or one can earn. When we practice loving kindness meditation, what happens is now Lord Buddha said, giving dana, we all give dana as Buddhist people, or even in other religions, they recommend giving dana. Lord Buddha said, offering dana to Lord Buddha and his disciples 1,000 times is a great meritorious deed, but you can earn more merits by practicing loving kindness meditation for 5 minutes, because it's so powerful. When you practice loving kindness meditation for 5 minutes in the correct way, you'll be cleaning the environment for 5 minutes, and that will be beneficial to an uncountable number. You can't count in trillion times trillion. You can't find a number, uncountable number of living beings, plants, and trees will be benefited out of it. And that is the greatest merit one can earn. So that's why loving kindness meditation is so strong. Now, next thing, let's see where these good qualities and bad qualities, and in other words, raga, dvesha, moha qualities, and maitri, karuna, mudita, upekkha qualities are stored in our mind. Lord Buddha said the physical body that we can see from outside, he called this karja kaya. Kaya means body. Then he said inside the karja kaya, there's another body that we can't see, and that is, he called it manomaya kaya. And in English, people call it astral body. And that word is not actually misleading, so I don't mind using that word. So the astral body is the one that once we die, our body will die, our mind will die. It's the astral body that travels from this life to the next life. So this astral body has a storage facility called Chitta Santana. And this storage facility has several boxes. Firstly, the box number 1 that contains our Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekkha qualities. And then box number 2 contains all the merits that we have accumulated throughout our samsara and still waiting to be spent. Then the box number 4 contains raga, dvesha, moha qualities. Box number 3. And box number 4 contains all the sins that we have accumulated and still waiting to be spent. And box number 5 contains our past memories. Ever since we have been born in this samsara, all the things that we have learned, we have done, everything will be stored in those past memories. It's just that we don't have the retrieving power to take them out now. But when a person becomes anagami, that person is able to go back to 200 previous lives and retrieve information. So that's how this system works. I think next week I will send you a chart which explains this in some detail, a flow chart. I started drawing it, but I couldn't finish it. Next week I will send it, and perhaps that will help you more to understand this system. Right. Then we have to think why people do sankara, rupa vedana, why they do sankara in order to earn these sins and unwholesome qualities and get trapped in a situation. So a person, Pruthakjana person, does this 30,000 times a day. That means 30,000 sins. And if he keeps on doing that for some time, and by the time he dies, he has a mountain of sins and very little merits. And obviously, negative thoughts, unwholesome thoughts, raga, dvesha, moha thoughts will come to his mind because his raga, dvesha, moha qualities are very strong. And he will end up going to the 4 hells. The Sothapanna person, more than 50% of the time, he'll be processing that data with Maitri Karuna Mudita Upeka, the Prajna program. So he'll be earning more merits, and he'll be also strengthening more and more of his wholesome qualities. So by the time he dies, his wholesome qualities are stronger than unwholesome qualities, and his merits are more than sins. So he will always get positive thoughts, wholesome thoughts, Maitri Karuna Mudita Upeka thoughts as his final thoughts, and he will end up going to a good place. I explained you in the Chutta Sutra what happens to a Sotapanna person, how he goes to a good Devaloka, and from there, after some time, to a good Brahmaloka, and then to Nibbana. So that's how this process works. Now let's see why the Pruthakjana person does this Sankara. Because doing Sankara gives him an mentally fabricated pleasure called, Lord Buddha called this aswad. It's a mentally fabricated pleasure. It's not a real pleasure. It's a mentally fabricated pleasure. So this person thinks, the Pruthakjana person, because he doesn't know Dhamma, he doesn't realize this doing Sankara to enjoy this mentally fabricated pleasure has a huge downfall that is called adinava. The downfall is that he'll be earning sins and strengthening his unwholesome qualities and strengthening his vijnana program, and he'll be continuing that vicious cycle, and he will end up in the four hells. So doing this Sankara in order to enjoy aswada is the route to go to the four hells. This is where the tanha is. You see why a person does Sankara? To enjoy this aswada. Why he enjoys aswada? Because he has tanha, raga, dvesha, moha. He's attached to these things with raga, dvesha, moha. So it's a vicious cycle. This is what we have to understand. Once we have understand it and comprehend it, then we will know the danger, the real danger of doing Sankara in order to enjoy aswada. And we don't have to force ourselves to stop doing Sankara. We will automatically stop it. Because once we realize the danger, it's like a shock to us, to our mind. Our mind will automatically start to gradually, withdraw from doing Sankara. Now, for example, a person who is addicted to watching television. On the television, most of the things, unless you watch educational programs and Dhamma programs, which are useful to practice your Dhamma path, develop your career, to earn a living, to practice your Dhamma path, there's nothing wrong with it. But people mostly watch movies and soap operas and so on, and news and so on. And all these programs are full of raga, dvesha, moha. So if a person learns Dhamma and realizes that, he will gradually withdraw from doing that. He will gradually reduce the time that he spends on television, and eventually he will get rid of it altogether. He doesn't have to force himself. Once he realizes the gravity of it, he will withdraw from it. So that's how it works. Now, I want to give you some examples of this aswad, this mentally fabricated pleasure. Why it is a mentally fabricated pleasure? We have to take several examples to understand it. Let me give you one example. Now, let's say there's an English couple in UK who are running a small business, and they are importing goods from a Filipino company in Philippines, which is owned by a very wealthy Filipino couple. So after some time, they become personal friends. You know how that's how small businesses run on personal level. So the Filipino couple invite the English couple for a holiday in Philippines. Now, this English couple don't have children. Because of that, they have 4 dogs at home. They love dogs. So the English couple goes to Philippines on holidays. And the first night, the Filipino couple invite the English couple to dinner and take them to the most expensive restaurant in Manila, the capital of Philippines. And there, everything, the menu came and everything is in Filipino language. So the English couple requests the Filipino couple to order the food. So the Filipino couple orders the most expensive 3-course meal or the 4-course meal on the menu, which costs more than $1,000 per person, $1,000. Very, very expensive. The Filipino couple is used to it because they are very, very wealthy, but the English couple is not used to go to such expensive restaurants because they are not so wealthy. So the English couple was very happy, beautiful restaurant, very expensive restaurant, people were dressed in very expensive clothes and so on. So they enjoyed the environment. And the Filipino couple was explaining how tasty this dish is. Because the English couple asked them why it is so expensive. He says this is a very rare dish, very, very expensive. Only very few restaurants serve this dish in Manila and so on. So the English couple is really looking forward to this dinner. So the food came and they started eating and they really liked it. The English couple really enjoyed the meal. And after having the meal, they were having a coffee. And while having the coffee, suddenly the Englishman asked the Filipino couple, "What is this meat?" Then the Filipino man casually replies, "It's dog meat." Because dog meat is a delicacy in Philippines. Suddenly, the English couple gets up from their seats and start running towards the toilet. And then the Filipino couple is puzzled. Why? And after a minute, they follow them to the toilet to see. And both the Englishman and the English lady are vomiting. Why? Because the moment when they were eating the food, they were attached to the food with raga. They thought, that the pleasure was built up because firstly, it's expensive restaurant, and the Filipino couple described the food and taste of it and so on. So they had a raga. They had developed a raga towards the food, and they enjoyed it so much because of the raga. Not because there is something special in the food, because of the raga, they enjoyed it. And then the moment they heard it is dog food, now nothing has changed in what they ate. Just because they heard the word dog food, immediately their raga turned into dvesha. They wouldn't imagine eating dog food because they love dogs. So immediately their raga turned into dvesha and they started vomiting. You see? Now something they enjoyed earlier, and after they heard the truth about it, they will not enjoy it anymore. They will start hating it. So that's one example of this mentally fabricated pleasure or aswada. If you think about it, everything that we enjoy, that helps us to continue this sansara, which helps us to build up more and more raga, dvesha, moha, is a mentally fabricated pleasure. Look at the TV programs. What do we see there? Men and women come and wave their hands and legs and talk about something and use weapons or fight them or whatever, most of the Raga Dvesha Moha things, and they explain a story with it, and we sit down and watch it and enjoy it. You see? Why? Because from a very small age, it came to our head that this is fun, this is enjoyment, this is what we are supposed to do. So we are attached to it with Raga. But if we can understand that there is nothing in these TV programs apart from a mentally fabricated pleasure, it's very easy to get out of them or get rid of them or stop watching those programs. Just think about it. Everything else that helps us to create more and more raga, dvesha, moha. Why we do them? Because of this mentally fabricated pleasure, aswad. And all of them have this huge downfall, which is called adinava. They, in return, they make more and more, they strengthen our raga, dvesha, moha qualities, and they also keep giving us more and more sins. That's why it's so dangerous to continue down that road. So if anyone continues down that road, any Pruthakjana person keeps enjoying this aswada or mentally fabricated pleasure, will end up in the four hells. That's what Lord Buddha explained. So this is what we have to understand, comprehend. And once we have comprehended that, we don't have to force ourselves. We will automatically, gradually start to come out of it and eventually come out of it altogether. Now, in my case, I was kind of addicted to TV before I knew Dhamma, but after I learned Dhamma, I realized that there's nothing in it. It only creates problems for us. And I stopped watching TV altogether and I don't miss it. So there you are. I think time is up now. It's a logical point to stop there, and I will give you 1 hour today to ask any questions.